Hey, we're live. How's it going? Welcome to another typology interview. We have Rose. How's it going?
Good.
Good. Yeah, welcome. So I think I know you're an SI Dom, but I haven't seen it yet. I know it, I think but I haven't really seen that it was an SI Dom yet. But I'm wondering maybe you can tell us about your background in typology.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I heard about it a while ago, probably when I was in school, and I just kind of knew about it in the background. But like a year and a half ago, I was dating someone and we were having trouble, and I was just trying to understand him. And I turned to MBTI just in general, and I was following C.S. Joseph, which I'm sure a
Mhm.
lot of people have heard of him. Excuse me. Um, because his whole platform for a while was like you can better your relationships by understanding the other person. So I use that a lot, and I liked that concept. But eventually I stopped following him, and then um, I realized that you could use it as a tool for self growth, and found OPS.
Okay. I wonder, like, you didn't really go into many details there, which is interesting. So,
Oh no.
what did you figure out what your first type was, or?
Yes. So he typed me as INFP, and that's how I've always tested an MBTI,
Interesting.
and that's what I thought I was. Um, but now that I'm learning more about it, I don't think I am.
Okay.
I don't think I'm a normal SI user either because I don't know. Am I not supposed to say what my type is?
You can
Or
you can sort of say, but we'll get there eventually, anyways. Yeah.
it's not a strong SI, even though it's my
Okay.
first function use it away. But
Right.
yeah, so
Like it's a feminine SI then? Yeah,
yeah,
that's interesting. But do you see it today as like your first function?
I see it. I don't know if it's my first function or my strongest function. I think my strongest function is FE.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm giving it away.
No, yeah, it's
But
okay.
I have more, I would say, and I don't know if it's because I just somehow got balance as a kid, but yeah, I have more problems with tribe. It doesn't come as often, but um, I'll get very frustrated because I feel like I'm giving a lot.
I see. No, that's interesting. Then the other thing, like I noticed you were saying you were feeling a responsibility to understand your partner. Um,
Yeah.
and like was it a responsibility that you felt to understand, or was it something that someone instilled in you maybe as a responsibility? Was it like attained or it was always there?
It wasn't always there. It's just that I come from a very long line of divorce.
Okay.
And so as a kid, I was like, there's got to be a better way. And then I would see myself get into relationships and it wouldn't work out, but I wouldn't understand why.
Uh-huh.
And so I figured it must be at the individual level. So I was trying to understand people a little bit better and
Right.
myself a little bit better. Yeah.
Okay. Do you see yourself as being in need of control?
No,
No.
but I'm used to not being in control, but I can very easily be in control if I need to be. If that makes sense. I can kind of take the wheel at any point.
What about
And I
like
was kind of raised.
chaos and stuff? Is that distracting to you? Is that difficult for you? Is it a fear?
Um, it's distracting. So like if I went to like a casino or something where there's like a lot of sensory overload, like
Uh-huh.
that kind of chaos bothers me. But then I'm like obsessed with like tornadoes. So it's a weird
Okay.
balance. And then like I tend to be friends with OE people. So I'm
Right.
surrounded by that. But yeah, I don't know.
What about in terms of like organizing the sensory? Um, is that something that you do? Organizing facts, organizing data, organizing the objects around you or your
I do it,
environment?
but I don't really do it for myself, which is weird. I do it for other people. Like my house isn't very organized, but at work I'm very organized. But I don't do it for my benefit. I do it because I realize it needs to be done for everyone to
responsible
be on
to
the
it, right?
yeah yeah.
Um, I wonder how, like, for you, disorganized, how true that is, because like you say your house is disorganized, but I wonder how disorganized it actually is, you know?
Oh,
'Cause
okay. Well, here's what I'll do. I'll take a few photos after this, and
no,
I'll put
it's
it
okay. No,
you.
I was just
And
wondering because like if when you feel responsible for something, you like notice like all the little deficiencies in it, even though
yeah,
it might be on a very high level. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's so true. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Everyone says that my house is a mess, so
Oh, okay.
that's
All
why.
right.
That's fine. Yeah, that's also why I thought it was OE because a lot of people tell me that I'm chaotic and messy.
Hmm. Okay. What about organizing facts, responsibility to organize data,
Yeah, yeah, that's what I do when I sleep a lot. I'm like making sure I'm going down the list of items and
like
with
OP
my
sleep?
yeah, I'm like going down the list, making sure doing true false in my head till I get to the end, which is why a lot of times when I sleep, I need like really long periods of time to think through things, um, to get from start to finish because I have that feminine sensory.
Hmm.
Um, so I recently started meditating, which you're supposed to clear your mind, but I don't. I
Yeah.
just go and think for like 2 or 3 hours. It's been really great. It's been really great. Even though it's a savior, I
Is it
needed it. And I realized I needed it.
is it more of like an if this then that, like a sort of case by case sort of thing when you're in your sleep?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, okay. But I'm also using my NE a little bit because I'm trying to think about all the possibilities and then run through down the tree of like what would happen, what would happen, what would happen. And then I can feel relaxed because I've explored all 8 different possibilities from start to finish. And because I've already done that, it's in my head that if any of those possibilities occur, I'm okay because I've figured it out already and I know what to do.
I see. Yeah.
That makes
So that is sort of like that is sort of yeah, preparing for the future, preparing for possibilities, and
yeah.
preparing for chaos, sort of organizing. Yeah. And
Mhm.
so sleep, that would be, I guess, in savior mode if you're able to do it like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, are you self above tribe? It's not.
No,
No.
no.
Okay. So
I'm,
it'll be your
yeah,
second function sleep.
yeah.
Okay, I see. All right.
What
So
about you? So you're consume play tech, maybe?
I'm a skib.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I guess allegedly. Yeah. Um, so that would put you double activated on your SI then,
Hmm.
right? Um, is there any other way that you see your SI manifest itself?
It's kind of like I said, like I can just really quickly make a game plan. Like uh, I do it in my head all day, 8 times, 20 times a day. And so I think that's SI.
Hmm.
I don't really know. I do it for other people, like other people who can't figure something out. They'll come to me and I'm like, okay, try this plan. And then I just lay out the next 8 steps.
Steps, like a
Um,
step by step.
yeah.
I see. So
Mhm.
like, did you have a plan for this interview or?
No, because
Okay,
I for your interview and also for Kendrick's, I was like, do not plan it. To be organic as much as
right.
possible. So I was
Uh-huh.
hanging out with someone until like 5 minutes before you and I got on a call.
Does
It
that make
was
it, does it make you more nervous if you didn't plan for something, if you had to jump into it like that?
no,
No.
as long as if I had something worthwhile to do for my day, if I was just sitting waiting for our interview, then it would be a totally different story. But
Right.
I'd be dreading it or like anxious, like, what if I sound like an idiot? Which I do
Mhm.
anyways. So it's
Come
fun.
on. I'm wondering about your NE. Do you see it as a demon?
I think so. Because, well, the way I experience it is I use it when I feel like something bad is going to happen. Like usually my innie jumps to a negative conclusion.
Right.
It's not positive reasons. So I'm trying to retrain it.
Right. Yeah.
I said I was trying to plan out in my head all the ways something can go. Well, like probably 5 or 6 out of the 8 are negative,
Hmm.
and that's my innie like spinning out.
And would that cause you to like to be fearful of possibilities?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I have to then, okay, I'm feeling anxious about something. It's my innie going crazy. I need to just stop and sit and process for like an hour or two to get over it. And yeah, which is a
Yeah.
savior, which is bad. I'm not supposed to do that, I guess, but I don't know.
Do you find that sometimes seeing a negative possibility and locking onto it might cause it to come true in some cases?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's not
Um,
good.
what about locking onto a positive possibility? Like, is that something that that's one of the things you're trying to train yourself to do? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when my mind goes negative, even if it's not any, if it goes negative, I'm trying to force myself to just challenge that. And it's very exhausting.
Yeah.
Which is
Uh-huh.
part of the reason why we had to reschedule the interview. I was just like, something happened. And I was just like, man, this is laying me out. I need to like chill.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Uh-huh. Um, do you see that if you've done all of the preparation, um, the any will be less negative in the end?
hmm. Yeah. Because I think if you're tense about anything, your demons are going to come out swinging as opposed to you being like, be able to relax and use them. So I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that
We
whole
have
like you
a
have to get to your demons. Sorry. What?
we have a question here from Jonathan Sun. Are you good with
Oh,
computers or fixing things?
I am good with computers, but I don't, that's not like a hobby. But at my work, I used to maintain a server and like manage software. And fixing things I really enjoy. Yeah, I had someone who had a motorcycle and liked cars, and we'd fix cars and stuff together.
Hmm.
But again, it's not like a hobby. I just do it when it's around.
Actually, I think Sheila's here. She's right here. I think she was also fixing motorcycles. She was an ISFP,
Cool.
but
Thank
she
you.
was also, I remember from her interview, um, or cars or tractors or something she was saying. Um, okay, so let's talk a little bit about your FE. So your FE is feminine then?
It's masculine.
It's masculine. Okay, that's interesting. So how do you
Mhm.
see it express itself as masculine then?
Um, so when I do engage with someone, everyone has to be okay before any conversation happens. So like if I was gonna have a tense conversation with someone at work, I work in HR or I do some HR tasks, I first, before anything happens, have to make sure we're both happy, which is FE, but I am very intense about it. I realized how intense I was. Like I'm like, how are you? No, really, how are you? Tell me about your week. Like you probably felt it a little bit when we were chatting before the interview. I'm like, no, I really want to connect with you. I really want to connect with you. Like, it's a little bit much. But then I also am like, I will tell you when you're being an asshole. Sorry for my language.
Okay, that's good. So why do you think it's a little bit much? Have you gotten feedback about it, or it's just your observation?
Uh, I don't know. It, uh, like I guess I've seen myself on video now a couple of times or heard myself on audio. Um, at the beginning, I guess Dave and Shan were recommending like doing journals, and I could see I was just super intense about it. And I don't know if everybody enjoys that. So I kind of trying to read the room a little bit better.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, So do you see Blast as a savior too then?
I'm pretty quiet for someone who has blast, but once I do need to talk, I don't seem to have an issue.
What about
If
like
that,
starting new things?
yeah, I can start things pretty damn easily. Um, that's not a problem. Following through is sometimes a problem, but
Mhm.
starting isn't a problem.
Um, and I guess because the SI is feminine, it won't really push too hard on the tribe. So
Or
maybe your
me. So
play,
I don't push on myself very hard.
uh-huh, right. But the play is going to be more of the masculine animal. So do you see that as pushing? Yeah. Is your play your third animal?
Yeah,
Okay. So consume last.
yeah.
So like, do you see it as a hobby animal? Do you see it as masculine? Something like really, I don't know, would it be competitive? How would it play out?
Yeah, it's kind of forceful. And I always talk about how my sleep is double feminine and it's right next to my double masculine play. And so a lot of times I'm really, really quiet and like kind of seem like a pushover. And then all of a sudden my play comes out and it's really intense. And people are like, whoa,
Could you have
chill
an
out.
example or something that you can tell us? Um,
I mean, from like a few years ago, I started to do improv and we would do a lot of exercises before we would perform. And I think a lot of times, like, I shocked people in my group, like a lot. And in my group, they didn't find it funny, but when I was on stage, they would find it funny because it would shock, like, shock sometimes is good for audiences. But
right.
yeah, because
So
they knew me in my group, right? So they were like, where the hell did that come from? Yeah.
um, that's interesting. Uh, what about visual? Do you see yourself as visual because you're FM?
Yeah, I do, hence the chalkboard. I mean, right now I don't have a diagram up, but I'm usually diagramming something. This is just a joke, but
Okay.
yeah, yeah, usually I do. And then because I have SI, that's why I have a chalk or feminine SI, that's why I have a chalkboard because I have to leave it up for like a week before the diagram, like, or the distilled image, like fully sinks
Uh-huh.
within me and it's like stored. And then I can erase it and move on to something else.
What about like routines and things? Is it easy for you to find a new routine, to stick to a routine?
It's easy to find one. It's not easy to stick to one. But I think
Mhm.
that's normal. Like, I don't know if maybe I'm just projecting, but I feel like even if you're OI, it's still really hard to keep a routine. What about you? Do you have trouble with routines?
Um, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Like you
Yeah.
rebel if someone's like, we got to get up at 8 a.m. every day. Is that just like,
No, no. Like I'm thinking more of routines that I choose for myself, like things that I want to keep, right?
hmm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so we have what about your TI then? Do you see that as like a bigger demon then? It's not double activated
It's not double activated, no.
and it's feminine.
No, it's feminine. Um, I don't know. I like it a lot. Like yesterday, just like you have a hobby animal, I feel like it's my hobby function. Like yesterday, I
Right.
was up a book that was a collection of essays about mathematicians, and it was just like it just I love that stuff. So
Okay.
that's the stuff I like to read. Um, so yeah, but it does feel like a hobby. It's not something I'm doing all the time, but I
Uh-huh.
enjoy using it.
What about dealing with contradictions? Is that something that's stressful for you? Is
It is really stressful. It's very
yeah.
stressful. Yeah. Even like with um like that will keep me up at night. Contradictions will keep me up at night. And then I'll have to sleep on it for a really long time. Yeah, it took me many, many years to come to terms with the fact that people are both good and bad. And I'm not a single decider, right? So like
Right.
I would talk about people very black and white. Um, And because people are just walking contradictions, right? And you just kind of have to be okay with it, but it's really hard. You're like, I don't understand.
So, okay, so you see contradictions in people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And myself too. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so do you have a, I don't know if it would be appropriate or not, but like, do you have like an example of a contradiction you've seen in somebody that sort of kept you up at night?
Oh, that kept me up at night.
Or I don't know, whatever.
Like, yeah, I had a coworker he was much older than me and he mentored me, but then he also had an anger problem. So
Mhm.
he like clearly really, really cared for me and some of the other younger staff, but then he would routinely like let his anger out and didn't have any remorse. I was like, I don't understand. And that would keep me up and I would felt very anxious and yeah.
So what was the contradiction there then? The fact that he was like a kind mentor and then the fact that he was also angry?
Yeah, because he was both kind and unkind,
Uh-huh.
which ultimately when you're dealing with humans isn't really a contradiction, but to me it just didn't make sense. And
Uh-huh.
until like years too. When I started accepting that sometimes people don't make sense. That's okay.
Right. Yeah, so like I guess that would have been like did you reinterpret it now that you've learned OP a little bit and to see maybe that it would have been like a demon swing, maybe even a masculine demon swing or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. But that doesn't make him any less responsible for it. But yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
That's my masculine FE coming out.
right. So the masculine any d once you lock onto a pattern or something like that, is it hard to let go? Is it something that you feel is like really real, even though it might not be?
Hmm. It yes, but usually it just takes a little bit of paying attention to make it to kind of break the thought. So what is this called? Something they use in therapy when you have anxiety. I forget is cognitive behavioral therapy maybe,
Hmm.
where you start noticing your patterns of your thoughts and then you confront it. I find it's way more easy to change, much easier to change masculine function patterns than it is feminine function
Oh,
patterns.
really? Okay.
If you're using, like, if you're actually stopping paying attention and confronting it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I've been trying to do some of what I've learned from, previous episodes in therapy. And it works
What?
pretty well.
Yeah. What about
Yeah.
like being dead on and being right with your masculine any? Does that ever happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not a victory. I don't feel like proud of it. I'm usually
Right.
like, ugh.
But like, does it lead you to trust it more and maybe assign like false positives as like
Probably.
as
Yeah.
having more weight maybe because like the when you did get it right, it sort of yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's hard to keep it in balance with the first function. Of course, the first and fourth function are really hard to balance.
Hmm. So what kind of demon swings? I don't know if you want to get into specifics, but like what kind of demon swings would it cause?
So I've posted it before, but I think I took it down. I have this problem in my industry because my industry kind of works people a lot and there's a lot of like just systematic issues. And so every month or two I freak out and I'm like, why am I in this industry? And then I panic and I'm like, why did I choose the wrong thing? And I assume that everyone in it is just being overworked and underpaid. And um, I freak out because I don't know what I'm doing. Um, and I'm guessing it's a demon swing. I haven't really like fully analyzed it, but it sounds to me like I occasionally freak out because I'm think my understanding is that my industry is harmful to me and other people, and that it shouldn't be. Um, yeah.
How is it harming? How is it harmful, do you think?
Um, Well, I'm not on a demon swing, but if I was, I would tell you that, you know, we go through school and the architecture school is really rough. They put you through a lot. You're working a lot. You go through open critiques. Their teachers are trying to weed you out. It's that kind of stuff. So it's just a very tough 5 years. You're working a lot. You're not sleeping. And then you go into an industry and you're not prepared for that industry at all. They don't give you the skills. And
Mm-hmm.
then in that industry, you're underpaid. And it's just a whole different cycle of.
So when you're saying they don't give you the skills, it's like they didn't prepare your SI to deal with the chaos, I guess.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it does feel like very much when I'm freaking out, it's about chaos. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how did we not see this? How did we not project like that this would happen? Like, why didn't we write the contract correctly? It'll be
Mhm.
very much like those types of, how did we not any this correctly? And then SI
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Like how did they not any it, maybe like putting the responsibility on others? Yeah.
Yeah. And so lately I've been, again, trying to adjust my thoughts around this. Like, I don't think any industry is perfect. So I don't know if me changing jobs is going to solve my issue. I think I'd have that same issue no matter what industry.
Right.
So I'm just trying
Yeah.
to get a little bit less anxious about it every 2 or 3 months
Actually,
or whatever it
sounds
is.
like it sounds like the longer you stay in this industry, the less issues you'll have. You'll start figuring them out and getting that NE done over time.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, changing it would just increase the chaos, make it worse, I think. That's my perspective, but
Yeah. No, and that's what when I sleep on things, that's what it tells me. I'm like, oh my God, no, I can foresee that I would have the exact same problems. It would just be a different type of chaos.
right, yeah.
So,
An unlearned and
no.
unknown chaos, where this one is a bit more, yeah.
Yeah, and I can do something about it. Like, if I really think that people are working too much, then, I'm in a position, I've been in this field long enough that I can actually do something about it.
Yeah.
So,
I had a question. I'll go to something else. What about SI in terms of like deep sensory experiences and things like that? Do you feel like your sensory experiences are like really? I guess you have no comparison to other people, but like maybe that they're more intense for you, more vivid.
sometimes, sometimes I'm not paying attention to, like, do you mean, I guess sensory can be a lot of things. So, like, if I'm sick, I'll really focus on whatever's wrong with me until I get a plan to make sure I'm not sick anymore. But then in terms of sensory in general, like, I'm always the person that can find someone's keys, like,
Mhm.
always, because I don't know why. I have no idea why, actually. I just, even if I've never even been to their house, I just like imagine their house, and then I'm like, okay, what would Bob do? How would Bob lose his keys?
Right. Yeah, it
Is
sounds
that
like that
one, or do
intuition
you?
is. It sounds like that intuition is like hitting every so often on certain things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does.
Um,
But do you mean like when I look at nature? Am I like, is it or
maybe like, is there something there? Do you look at nature?
yeah, yeah? I love looking, like, that's what calms me. Music and nature and light. I love like when light hits prisms. Like, I could stare
Mhm.
at that, and fire. I could just stare at a fire that's a roaring fire for like all day.
What about things in terms of like nostalgia, past sensory experiences? Do you see all the sensory connecting throughout time? Like, do you see if something were to reoccur now, a sensory experience, do you see it connecting to something that happened in the past?
Yes. Yeah. But I'm not nostalgic, but it is, I will remember, like, oh, I remember this feeling. Um, I have deja vu a lot, which I
Hmm.
think is maybe an SI thing. I don't know.
Could be a human thing too.
Yeah, it could. That's true.
Um, what about like tried and true things, like recipes or specific methods in doing something, do you like to stick to those or no?
No, what I do is I'll read through it and respect it. I'll be like, okay, you did your homework and like you made a great souffle or whatever. And then I take my own spin. Like when I cook, I'm never measuring stuff. I forget ingredients or I swap ingredients. I do the same thing when I work. I
Uh-huh.
just first need an understanding of how the process works, and then I can kind of use that understanding to like push and pull at things, and it usually turns out fine.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Um, what about, that's the question I want to know. What about things in terms of polarization, like yes or no, black and white, like the contradictions that you were talking about? Do you see yourself getting into those polarized this or that sort of situations? No?
No, not anymore.
Um, oh, not
Maybe
anymore?
when I not maybe when I was younger. Um, but I've no.
Do you
Everything I
like
say has a quality. I'm
do you like
like, yeah,
asking yes or no questions? Like, do you like yes or no answers to things?
no,
No.
mm-mm, no.
Interesting.
I, yeah, I like open-ended questions. Because
Like
yes
when
and
you ask the
no,
questions.
yeah, when I ask a question, it's more open-ended. Because yes and no doesn't. I think it's because of FE. Because like yes and no doesn't let you connect. Like I don't feel any connect. That's just information at that point, which
Right.
is fine. But
Uh-huh.
then I can, what do I do with it? Then it's just information. So
What about when you're in like a demon swing or something? Do you need clarity? Is the clarity the yeah?
that's a good point. Yeah, when I'm frustrated and I just need a simple answer, I will be like, just get to the point. Please stop talking. Just tell me what I need to know. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Savior state, no, but demon state, definitely. Yes or no is like, will calm me down the quickest.
Interesting. Um, do you have any thing you want to promote or the YouTube channel, the charity? No. Do you have any maybe final points you want to say about your type that maybe we glossed over?
Hmm. I don't, I don't know. I don't think so.
No. Um, trying to think. Maybe we can go into FE a little bit. How do you see the spectrum of emotions? Are you able to see how people are feeling in a room? Are you able to? Is it maybe just a desire for connection, or what is it?
Yeah. It's kind of like a desire for connection. But because it's masculine, it's also a desire to move emotion. And so sometimes I
Uh-huh.
realized I did this when I was younger. I would befriend the person that I perceived would have like the worst emotion in the room, who really was like down for whatever reason. And then I would hang out with them all day and try to perk them up all day.
I see.
And so it is connection, but it's also like trying to
Moving
do
others'
good with
emotions.
it.
Yeah. Okay. What about
Yeah.
like validation and stuff? Is that something that you like, you seek, you need, you don't care about?
Well, I was not raised in a household where I got validation. So now what I do more is like if I really am unsure if I'm doing a good job or something, I will ask. I will say, "Can I have feedback?"
Uh-huh.
Um, but I'm not chasing validation in that way just because I'm used to not having it. I don't know. I
Hmm.
guess feedback is validation, but I'm not. I don't know.
What kind of feedback? Like feedback if you're doing a good job, like what you're doing is working, or feedback if other people are happy?
I can usually tell if someone's happy or not.
So that
Actually, I usually
the
have
automatic
the negative.
validation.
Yeah, yeah, maybe
Uh-huh.
it is automatic. Yeah, I am tracking it. Like even when I was younger, even though I was never getting validation from my parents, I was tracking when the moods would change as a result of my behavior.
And that
So
in itself might have been a validation. Like if someone was happy that, okay.
yeah,
So you don't need someone to outright say it. You can just sort of get the reward in their emotions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true of everybody. But
Yeah. Well, we're here to talk about you, so. um, okay. Yeah, I think that's about it. There's no other point that maybe we glossed over that.
um hmm. I don't think so. I think the most striking thing probably about me is maybe the sleep next to the play, and that it's double feminine to double masculine. And I think every type has something like that where you can just see like an energy change, and it's interesting. And I haven't studied your type close enough to know where it is, but that's what I'm when I'm we're learning about type. That's what I'm trying to track is like where's their energy flip, and it's
Uh-huh.
usually kind of telling. If you can track that, I feel like I
Like,
don't
so
know.
you're energy dom. So like, are you conscious of that flip? Is that something that you control?
Oh yeah, maybe that's why I'm so like paying attention to it. Um, yeah, I am. I am conscious of it. It is like an on switch. When play
Uh-huh.
comes on, it's intentional. It's never like it might come out in like a situation where nothing else is working, but usually it's very intentional. I'm like, okay, gotta be playful now. So
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Do you see it also as like maybe a tool or something that you can use?
Yeah.
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 And
Yeah.
are you
It's
planning on when to use it? Like you have to know, like you have to specifically be like, now it's time to use it, so I'm gonna consciously use it, sort of thing.
it's more like when my FE tells me like something's off and my normal like blast mode isn't working, then I'll start making jokes.
Jokes. Okay. All
Like,
right.
oh yeah, I'll make fun of myself. Um, yeah, that kind of stuff.
The double deciding sort of thing.
See,
All right. So do you want to
yeah.
leave us with a joke? Do you have a joke for us?
Oh, I'll leave you with the joke that's on my board.
Okay.
Okay. You guys might have heard this one, but it's not about me. So, okay, Ted comes home to find his best friend Lou and his wife in bed. Um, and then Ted opens his mouth to say something, and then Lou says, "Ted, who are you gonna believe, me or your eyes?" Which I find funny, but maybe you don't.
I don't know if I got it.
You don't. Okay. Like, what are you gonna believe? What you see in reality versus what I tell you is real.
Right.
I think it's fun.
So, okay. Sorry, I would laugh.
I'm not a
Anyways,
comedian.
yeah, no, it's good. Anyways, thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
SI is something that not many people in the community have been typed with SI. Dave says he's got it. Here you go. Sure, Dave.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. So yeah, it's really
Valid.
thank you for sharing SI and feminine SI.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Have a good
Have a
one.
good week.
Yeah.
Bye.